Before we vote to approve the changes, which include deferring item A18 to some unspecified date, I want to have a little discussion about if and when and how this item should come back to a future board meeting. The item brought up a couple of issues for me. That's why I had pulled it originally. And I'll be bringing up one of those issues at future items at the end of the meeting. But right now, while we're considering the changes to the agenda, I want to provide some direction about if and when this item can come back to the board. I don't want to see this appear on our next agenda without staff and the board understanding some concerns I have about the process for putting it on the agenda. And first, let me be clear that the reason I pulled this item has nothing to do with the person who Ms. Lopez wants to name a room after. The reason I pulled this item is because I object to the process by which it was put on our agenda. This request comes to us directly from the unelected person sitting temporarily in the state attorney seat. She was put in this seat barely 90 days ago when the governor, shockingly, removed our twice elected state attorney, Andrew Warren, from this post. There's a court case going on right now to determine whether she remains in this position till the next election or whether Andrew Warren is reinstated to his elected position. And this court case is being held this month. It is highly inappropriate, in my view, for the unelected temporary state attorney to be permanently naming public property while the court case to determine whether she is in that seat legitimately or not is still pending. We should at least wait until we have an elected state attorney back in office permanently before we approve any request from that office to permanently rename county property. So I'll make a motion to approve the changes to the agenda with the additional specification that this item, A18, is deferred and does not come back to us from the state attorney's office until we have an elected state attorney back in office.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, a second by Commissioner Kemp. Any further discussion? Please indicate your vote. I'm sorry, do I have to do a roll call vote? My apologies.
Overman?
Yes.
Cohen?
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 7-0.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
As I looked at that item, A18 on today's agenda that was regarding naming rooms in the courthouse, I realized that we have an opportunity to recognize someone else in that way with the naming of a different room in that building, not the same conference room that the interim state attorney wanted to name for someone, but the auditorium in the courthouse. Andrew Warren was elected to the office of state attorney by the people of this county. He was elected to a second term in a landslide because the people of this county approved of what he was doing in that office. He was removed from that elected post in an outrageous political stunt by the governor. He is challenging the legality of that action now in court, and he is fighting to be reinstated to the post the voters elected him to. Andrew Warren is fighting a courageous battle for democracy in this county. He's fighting to ensure that our votes count in this county. And I stand with him in that battle, on the side of the voters and on the side of democracy. I would like to see him honored for his courage in standing up for the voters who elected him to office. I would like for us to name the auditorium in the courthouse for Andrew Warren as a clear sign to everyone who goes looking for justice there that the voices of all our citizens matter. Naming the auditorium in the courthouse for Andrew Warren would serve as a reminder to all elected officials that we are all ultimately accountable to the voters. The voters of this county gave Andrew Warren a mandate to continue his work for a second term because of his excellent record of enforcing justice for victims of crime while upholding the values of this community in key areas, such as our shared ideal that biking while black is not a crime. So for these reasons and more, I'll be bringing back an item to rename the auditorium in the courthouse for Andrew Warren at our next meeting on November 16th, and I'll ask for facility staff to help me formulate that item as they did with the item that we deferred today. So that's my future item. Commissioner Kemp, you're recognized.
I'll just say for the record too, because I do not know when exactly it happened, or if only maybe Commissioner White and I were here at the time, and Commissioner Hagan, but that when Mr. Warren first came on board during his first term at some time, he came and asked us. He said that there's a big auditorium that's being unused and very dilapidated, in bad shape and falling apart. And he said it could be a great room that we need really badly for training, for all kinds of activities, and it could be open to the community and everything else. And he came to the board and asked us to fund redoing and restoring that room, which I think was a couple $1 million project to do. And so I think it would be really wonderful, because without him having done that, we would not have it there even to be used or named, I don't think, at this time.
Thank you. Seeing no other future items, the meeting's adjourned.